holiday, but of course we have to bring you updates here concerning what transpired on Wednesday on the different stock exchanges, and get you of course up to speed with what we expect towards the global, regional markets as we progress. The show, remember, is brought to you by Altex East Africa, and with Altex you can now buy treasury bonds across East Africa by simply dialing *292#. When you do that, you will be able to buy not only just treasury bond, but as well exchange traded funds on treasury bonds in East Africa. You can be able to transact mobile money off of your mobile money wallet onto the Altex East Africa Stock Exchange and purchase these instruments. And also, those of you who are looking to sell these instruments online, you can also be able to sell and get that money come onto your mobile wallet. Altex East Africa is saying you can do something new with your investments by, of course, investing with Altex East Africa. The markets open at 15 minutes past 8 a.m. and they do close at 15 minutes past 3 p.m. East African Standard Time. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Now let's get to the market analysis here from the Uganda Stock Exchange and the exchanges across Africa. Yesterday being, of course, the third day of trading, we did witness a little bit of a decline in activity generally across East Africa, but elsewhere in the markets, Zimbabwe as well lost over 43.92 points, and looking down to Nigeria as well, lost a few points, about 12.9 points on their all-share index. And the Nairobi Securities Exchange was one of those few stocks that actually did appreciate at 1.32 points. Johannesburg lost a very huge volume there of points on their benchmark index, about 311.55 points. But generally speaking, let's get to look into the Uganda Stock Exchange and what it did have for offering on Wednesday trading. Now, according to data from the Uganda Securities Exchange, there was only one equity that participated in trading. I think this brings it to the most inactive day in the week at the moment, and this was MTN Uganda, trading with just a volume of about 4,100 shares on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Now, currently looking at the gainers, we did have close to over 6 gainers, these mainly being cross listings. Now, if you remember, on Tuesday, we did have these cross listings lose value with a margin of about 0.17% on average. They did regain this value on the Wednesday tradings, according to data from the Uganda Securities Exchange. Well, Jubilee Holdings came out top of the gainers list with a total of close to 1.69% that was added to their stock price, up to 5,903.21 shillings. And Centum Investments added close to 0.99% on their pricing as well, up to 249.74 Ugandan shillings. Nation Media Group as well added close to 482.32 Ugandan shillings. That was their closing price after having appreciated by close to 0.65%. East African East African Breweries Limited also gained 0.63%, up to 5,015.51 Ugandan shillings per share. And as well, Kenya Airways managed to gain about 0.04%, up to 113.33 Ugandan shillings. KCB Group, honestly, also gained the lowest value with just about 0.03%, up to 1,136 Ugandan shillings. Well, like I explained before, the cross listings definitely do have factors like the foreign exchange rate coming in to destabilize, of course, pricing here and there, as well as being cross listings. They do have activity from the primary stock exchange influencing some of their pricings on the secondary stock exchange. In this case, the Uganda Stock Exchange being the secondary, and the Nairobi Securities Exchange being the primary stock exchange. The day ended with just a single loser on the market, and this was Equity Bank Limited. Equity Bank lost close to 0.07% on their stock there at the Uganda Securities Exchange. In as far as trading is concerned, very small volumes, like I mentioned earlier on, just one stock being able to trade at just a very small volume of just about 4,000. But of course, basically due to the gains that were registered on the listings, especially of when you look at the cross listings that gained some value here, these cross listings actually saw the benchmark index, the all-share index, appreciate in value, going up by over 1.77 points to a total of about 1,212.05 points. Now, currently, we are witnessing the 1 week loss of 1.19% and a 4 week gain of close to 1.33%. Currently. So on the longer term, a little bit of gain there, but on the year to date, we are looking at a loss of 0.04%, quite indicating that 2023 hasn't really started in the gear in which, of course, we had thought it would start. But of course, we are getting into the closure of the financial year very soon, probably getting into the last quarter, and we are, of course, looking at companies getting to come out with financial statements for the previous financial year, and that of course means a lot for you and me as shareholders. So you should be preparing for those and getting to look forward to an economy that is recovering like the one we are living in. There must be very critical analysis of financial reports and the books of accounts there. So you must keep all hands on deck as we get into this season, because this is a time to know who is giving a dividend and who is not, and where are we heading, and where is the stock heading in actual sense. Now, matter of fact, looking at the local company index, we saw the value maintained at 274.11 points. It continued to remain stagnant since the week began, of course, because most of the domestic listings haven't seen a single coin added or removed from their stock prices. Now, currently, we're looking at a 1 week loss of 1.36% on the local company index, and the 4 week gain currently is about 0.56% as well, and the year-to-date gain of 0.53% as well has been recorded on the Uganda Securities Exchange local company index. And that, my friend, sums up what really happened. Well, MTN as well did not have any movement or shifts in price after these 4,000 shares. MTN still currently has a total value of 4.03 trillion on the Uganda Securities Exchange, making it the second most valuable company currently on the Uganda Securities Exchange via market capitalization. At 180.0 shillings, they traded close to 4,100 shares, and the total value of 738,000 was accrued from these tradings. Now, MTN Uganda, remember, has also been one of the most active stocks recently, putting up very consistent activity, especially in this week. When you look at Monday, they had about, when you look at, for example, 24th, let's just start with 24th, they had about 950,000 shares, and on the 23rd, they had about 74,450 shares, and on the 20th, about 304,000 shares, and their biggest volume last week was about 1.4 million shares, which they traded on the 17th of January within this period. So MTN is trying to put up a very good, consistent fight, but unfortunately, this hasn't yielded results on their pricing. Their pricing has still been maintained at 180 shillings at the moment. Well, getting to the Kenyan market, Nairobi had a pretty good trading day at the exchange, which is currently the busiest and the biggest stock exchange in the East African region. Now, on aggregate, they have 65 listings. They do have a main board and a growth enterprise segment, where we have on the main board, of course, the big market capitalization stocks like Safaricom, KCB, NCBA. We do have Absa Bank Kenya there. We do have as well Diamond Trust Bank, a couple of financial institutions, and on the smaller end, the growth enterprise end has more of the small and medium enterprises. We do have Uganda'S, we do have property developers like Home Africa that are listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. On Wednesday, we had close to 49 listings of these 65 listed equities participating in the daily trading on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, amongst which we had 12 gainers and 20 losers. Fortunately, the day ended with mainly the benchmark index gaining by value over 1.32 points, meaning there was an overall improvement. And these were led by Safaricom in terms of volume. Safaricom is coming back as a big boy. Just a few days away before 2023, away from 2023 in December, Equity Bank seemed to be overtaking Safaricom when it came to 12 gainers on the market, who did appreciate in price. And Kenya Orchards led the gainers at a 9.6